Hey guys, I'm Richard Mio, and today we're unboxing the Lenovo Yoga C940 14. Now, I apologize because if you already watched my video for the C940 15, then we're going to cover a lot of stuff that I've already talked about. But these are two very different machines. Mainly that this has a U series processor and the 15-inch has an H series processor. So the 15-inch is actually meant to be very powerful. It's got a 45-watt processor, dedicated NVIDIA GTX 1650 graphics. Powerful stuff. This has integrated graphics, which is actually Iris Plus because it uses Ice Lake, which is Intel's new 10-nanometer processor. And obviously they come with Iris Plus graphics. And the only other Ice Lake PC that I've reviewed is the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1, and man, was that a winner. I came away from that review thinking to myself, like, wow, Intel Ice Lake chips are no joke. They have a lot more graphical power now that they all come with Iris Plus. There's a serious performance bump there. You know, I really like them. So this is going to be kind of great. I also really like the C940 in general because they made a lot of really good choices this year. Now, this is the part where I talked about it in my other video. They took what was great about last year's C930 and they took what was great about this year's S940 and they put them into one. Now, if you're not familiar with Lenovo's branding, C means convertible, S means clamshell. So they had a clamshell this year called the Yoga S940 IdeaPad in the US. But it's beautiful, thin and light, very narrow bezels, curved edges. It had a little reverse notch on the top, which is here now. And yeah, amazing machine. So the C930 last year, that had a rotating soundbar in the hinge. Crazy good audio. Great machine. So it kind of takes it takes the best of both and puts them into this. And then, of course, that 15-inch is the first 15-inch convertible from the 900 series. So let's get this out of the box. It does have a little box in there. I'm not a fan of little boxes because you know, just put it all in one box. So yeah, here's a little box which is going to only have the PC itself in there. Okay, and then of course we have the charger, which hopefully this should charge with USB Type-C. The 15-inch does not because the 15-inch requires a 135 watt charger. And that's, of course, the more powerful processor, 45 watts, remember. And then, of course, dedicated graphics. So here's the power cord. Let's just double check. Yeah, it does charge with USB Type-C, 65 watts. Very standard for this type of machine, which is great. Okay, so let's take the lid off of this. Here we go. There's another barrier behind it. Okay. And this is it. The Yoga C940 14. What's in here? Just some paperwork. Yeah, just some paperwork. We're just going to ignore that. Put this back together nicely. Very nicely, very careful. All right. Now, let's open this up. I like to laugh at my own jokes, as you can see. Ooh, more paperwork. All right. Inside, here it is. Look at it from the side. It's very much the same as the 15-inch, but smaller. It's much lighter, though, and that's huge because, again, with the kind of hardware that's in the 15-inch, it's going to be heavier. It's going to suck down more battery life. Oh, I got to say the battery life has been weirdly good on that machine. That thing was close to 4 pounds. This one is 2.98 pounds, which clearly Lenovo was going for that mark of under 3 pounds. The color is called iron gray. It's made out of aluminum. And yeah. Okay, here you have it. And let's open it up. Like I said, you got that rotating soundbar in the middle, and that is huge. It's Dolby Atmos, and it sounds amazing. And what's great is that you can use it in any position, and you always have sound firing at you. It's a really smart move, and they're really great speakers. I'm really happy that Lenovo came up with this. Okay, so if we look on this side, we have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. We also have USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type A, which is pretty cool, and then 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. That Gen 2 means it gets 10 gigabits per second data transfer speeds rather than 5, which is better than most laptops. You'll just find USB 3.1 Gen 1. And then, of course, we have our power button over here. Let's press it and boot this guy up. So one thing about the display is you'll notice there aren't any curved edges on the side, which is a bummer because I thought that really gave the S940 a good look, I'm going to say. So here's our Lenovo splash screen, which I hate because now this screen is going to automatically sync to all of my devices. Although once it's signed into my Microsoft account, it will. But yeah, so up top, we can see that we have the reverse notch, right? That's not that was something we first saw in the S940. It's in the 15-inch model, and what's cool is that it kind of gives you, it makes it a little easier to open up this machine. We have Yoga 9 series stamped in there, and it makes it a little bit easier. Just to, it makes life a little easier, which is not bad. I don't know if this has Windows Hello or an IR camera. This should have a Core i7. I'm curious about the exact specs of the machine that they sent me. It does have a 4K display, I'll tell you that, because I asked for that. They offered me 1080p, but I got 1080p on the other model. Core i7 1065 G7, 16 gigs of RAM, which is sweet. And let's just see the storage. 512, sweet. So the Core i7 1065 G7, that is, they only make one Core i5 1065, which is a G7. The G number is the graphics power. So Core i5 gets a little more confusing because they have a G1, G4, and G7. And G7 obviously is the best. So Core i7 is just G7, but there's also a Core i7 1068 G7, which is actually a 28 watt CPU. And I've not actually seen that in any PCs just yet. So, we got a pretty large trackpad down here, which I appreciate. I appreciate any company that makes use of the additional screen real estate down there. Got a fingerprint sensor on the side. Like I said, I don't know if it has Windows Hello or an IR camera because the 15-inch didn't come with one, and I really hope that this does because the S940 absolutely did. That was part of the reason that it had that reverse notch up there. It was about putting sensors in there. It could sense when you got up and walked away, when you weren't looking at your PC, stuff like that. So the big value propositions here to me are, one, this soundbar. That's the thing that'll really put this over the top versus other PCs. This thing is awesome. Okay. Other value propositions, that it's going to have a really nice display, 4K, UHD, stuff like that. Thin, light, small footprint, but also 10th gen Ice Lake processors with Iris Plus graphics. So here's the deal with 10th gen Ice Lake processors, or 10th gen processors in general. They're very confusing with this generation. Ice Lake is the 10 nanometer one. Comet Lake is the 14 nanometer one. They're both U series. You can tell the difference in the product name by Ice Lake is G1, G4, and G7, where Comet Lake uses the old naming scheme where it would end with a U or a Y. Now, this is U series. Even Ice Lake Y, by the way, is still just says G, but whatever. So Comet Lake, the big thing with Comet Lake is that there's a hexa-core variant of the Core i7 now, but it's still 14 nanometer. It's like the standard upgrade to Whiskey Lake. It still has UHD graphics. I really appreciate Ice Lake because they went with graphics power. So I think it's great for productivity and a little bit of creativity. It's got that extra graphics power. It's good stuff. So I'm excited to use this. I had some problems with the 15-inch one, so they're sending me a new one. But, man, Lenovo's 900 series convertibles have always delivered in a big way for me every time that I've reviewed them. So this one's, I'm excited about this one because I love the S940. That was an amazing machine. I'm so sad this doesn't have the curved glass on the sides. But man, that was a great machine. And I love the C930 too because that was the first one that had that sound bar. Oh, and one thing I didn't show you is that, you know what else this has? Oh, it actually took me a little while to find. It has a pen built into it. And because it took me a little while to find. Usually it's along the side here, but they actually put it in the back this time, which is kind of cool because, again, whatever form factor you're using, like if it's in tent mode, you can still just pull it out the top here. So Yeah, built-in pen. That's pretty cool to me. I appreciate it when companies build pens into the device, just because when it's magnetic, it might fall off. When it's in a pen loop, it sticks out the side, and that's kind of annoying. And I don't use pens all the time. And it's like, if it's magnetic, I might just leave the pen at home, to be honest. If it's there when I need it. And see, there's two pins on the side, and so it will just charge while it's in there. So you always have a charged pen. That's another thing about people that don't use pens all the time. If you use a pen every 3-4 months, you might go to pull your pen out, and then you go to write with it, and the battery's in. You got to go find a quadruple A battery, you know? And like when I say every 3, maybe you're the type of person that just uses it to sign PDFs. And I do that a lot. Someone will send me something to sign, and it's just open it up, pull it back, signed. And then save it. Rather than printing it out, signing it, scanning it back in, whatever. But then if you only did it every few months, that battery might be dead. So having something that just charges in the device is really common sense, you know. So yeah, I'll have more on this in a few weeks, and hopefully I'll have more on the 15-inch soon. I was hoping to have the review written, but I've run into some roadblocks with that. What I will have a review on, my next review is going to be the ThinkPad X1 Extreme with the OLED display, which is actually also pretty awesome. So stay tuned, guys. I'll have a lot more to come, as always. I'm Richard Neowin. Have a great night.